Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining. So, for today's session, we are going to just do a few housekeeping notes before we start. We are currently in broadcast mode, so your microphone and camera are disabled. Please use the Q&A box to submit any questions throughout the session. More questions, the better, please. A recording of the webinar will be shared with all registrants after the event. And if you need any further clarity after the session, please contact us at www.liferay.com. Contact us. We hope you enjoy the session. So hopefully you can all see my screen. And if you can, that would be fantastic. So what we're doing today, so we're talking about accelerating custom UI delivery with AI. And we're going to use it to build, integrate, and innovate on Liferay. So what's the challenge? There's always a challenge. IT leaders face mounting pressure to deliver more with less, all while meeting an ever-tightening down deadline. And we see this quite a lot in the industry at the moment. The need to bring AI technology into the business is often actually creating more work than was previously required before. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And so we need to build like lots of different interface requirements for UI and UX. And this is only going to grow more and more as we bring in various different AI technologies and we try and meet the needs of the business. So businesses around the world are trying to solve the problem of needing to create more and more interfaces and more customer journeys. And they're trying to do it in two different ways. So the first, as Liferay is an LCAP solution. So a low code, no code application platform. And we use various different technologies in the product to do different things. So we have the Liferay fragments functionality, which allows us to generate building blocks of a page or building blocks of a customer journey. And we can knit those building blocks together with Liferay objects, which you see on there, and various other technology in order to create various use cases, right? This allows the business to be able to drop those fragments on the page and configure customer journeys themselves without the need for IT. We also have the style books functionality, which essentially allows us to create various design languages for clients and them to be able to tokenize those. You'll see that a little bit later on in the demo. And we've got a visual designer for kind of managing all this, creating personalization and everything else. And then finally, the client extensions functionality, which allows you to bring in, languages of your choice, particularly in the JavaScript world. So React, Angular, Vue.js, etc., and to bring those applications in as well. So you've got a combination of low code, no code, with the best in JavaScript technology as well. So you're bringing all that together, and we call that LCAP. And then, we've got AI technology as well. So businesses around the world, they're bringing in chatbots, they're bringing in agentic solutions, they're using AI in automation suites. Shout out to Commander, by the way, our partner when it comes to automation suites. We have an integration to those guys, and they do a lot in the AI space as well. And then Liferay ourselves, we're doing things with semantic search, for instance, which allows people to be able to search for content in the best possible fashion. So you're searching on what the content means, as opposed to just a keyword search. And then we've got generative assets and everything else that we're doing in Liferay in terms of taxonomy, categorization, etc. So, businesses around the world, they're doing these two different things with the hope that they can reduce time to market and get solutions to the market as fast as possible. But there are problems. So what's the problem with AI? So what we're saying here is that there's currently a major issue with AI, and it's a barrier to success sometimes for IT departments. And that's because generally IT tends to add another channel or multiple channels to an existing solution rather than streamlining existing channels. Okay, so if you think about it, if you bring in an AI chatbot, for instance, and you want the user to interact with the assets that exist in your organization or the data that exists, then, doing that purely by voice or doing that purely via text is something that can be quite difficult, right? Difficult for users. Users don't like it. So therefore you actually need more and more UI and interfaces in the low code, no code world to actually deliver various different use cases. Okay, so the end result sometimes is good for the customer, but it does not make traditional UI based interactions with the customer redundant. And if anything, what it does is it actually adds the need for more. And then there's an LCAP problem, right? Liferay is a great LCAP platform, absolutely, and there's no denying that. Okay, but in order to allow the business to use the LCAP platform in the best possible way, you often have to build additional fragments, additional widgets, additional client extensions that Liferay will give you out of the box. Liferay gives you a lot of extensions out of the box and a lot of fragments out of the box. But if you really want to make it truly fit your brand and fit your specific use cases, then you're going to need to build additional fragments, additional form fields, templates, and various different things that the business can use to bring everything together. Now, a question. Okay. What if you could use AI to create the foundations of custom LCAP building blocks? What do I mean by that? So what I'm saying really is that, you know, building fragments and building client extensions and building templates is sometimes not a good use of a developer's time. Okay. Some of that we could potentially outsource to another technology. So we're going to introduce today vibe coding, okay, or more accurately, when it comes to Liferay, AI-assisted development. Okay, I don't like the phrase vibe coding, really, because that kind of suggests that the developer doesn't do anything. And the developer, at the moment at least, okay, maybe for the next year or so, they certainly do have to do something. And I think they'll always have to do something. And I'll explain that a little bit later on. Okay. Now, Liferay as an open source platform, don't forget Liferay is completely open source. You can go, to our GitHub, you can download that source code, you can read it, you can consume it, you can extend it, you can do anything that you want. We've got tutorials to do all that stuff coming out of our ears. And that's all great. Okay. And we're uniquely suited because of our fragments, widgets, templates, and theme client extensions, which are all open source, where the code is completely available, and then that unlocks something. What that unlocks is that none of our stuff is behind a paywall. Okay. So the LLM models that exist to allow you to write code and fit to Liferay standards. And because Liferay standards are indeed open standards, then we are in a unique place to have those LLMs almost pre-trained as we go through. Okay. So what we're going to do is, thank you for your time. We've just done 9 minutes there. I want to spend a little bit of time just going through and showing you a demo of something that was completely built with AI and right down to literally no code changes by a human. No code changes at all. Okay. That doesn't mean that the developer, which was in this case me, wasn't assisting the AI and correcting the AI and telling the AI what to do. But it does mean that the actual time it took us to build the demo that you're about to see was around about 24 hours. Okay. And it was an extremely extensive demo that we built out. And you'll see that in a second. Okay. Can we see this site? Okay, so this is just a standard Liferay, landing page. It's got a sign in on it. It's got a menu on it. It's got a logo in the header. It's got a footer. It's got a hero fragment on it as well. And it's a nice landing page. Is it the best landing page in the world? Maybe not. Okay, but it's good, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to sign in. Okay. So the first thing you'll notice is when I click sign in here, okay, I'll get a sign in box. Okay. Now, why is that button down there blue? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. Because we're actually going to use the style books functionality to style this a little bit better as we move along. Okay. But this is just the standard Liferay sign in widget, which is embedded within the header and then shows then when I click on that button and it then pops in a modal. Okay. Now the AI did all that. Okay. And that would be, for any developer, a relatively sizable task. Okay. Maybe that could be, just 4 hours there or something like that. Okay. To style it up, to make it look good, etc. So then we'll sign in with the standard Liferay sign-in functionality. So we'll come here and we'll sign in. So that user is a guy called Nick. And he is going to sign in. Okay, so when he signs in, as you see that popping up on the right-hand side, Liferay is very secure, even our own people. So we've got a dashboard, okay? And I imagine this is a finance customer, okay? And this is like a kind of an internal use case used as a dashboard to show kind of active deal pipelines. This could be integrated into Liferay objects with our, SAP connector, or potentially with our Salesforce connector, etc. Okay. But the point is that all the data that you see within this particular widget here, and this is just kind of mocked up data, okay? This is all integrated out of the box with objects, okay? And you can kind of do this and you can start filtering these fields around like so, okay? I can come in here and I can say, show me all the proposal ones, okay? High priority, etc. Okay, and everything filters down. And then I thought to myself, well, okay, so the AI can do that. So the AI can essentially create a fragment or client extension which integrates to Liferay objects and pulls all that data out and then presents it all in this fashion. So that's fantastic. Okay. We could also use the new Liferay datasets functionality here as well and actually build templates for datasets. And we'll possibly show you that on the future demo at some point in time as well. It's something we're actually working on right now. And, then we get funky, right? We take it a little bit further. So, now what we do is we show the deals as a deal universe. Okay, and we kind of pop in like this. And we kind of click on all these. This is all the AI that's built all this. Okay. But it's clever enough to have done it within a Liferay fragment, integrated to objects, okay, using the low-code, no-code features of Liferay, okay? And then we get risk management dashboard. Okay, and then we get graphs like this. Okay, all very, very nice. So we can kind of, go 12 months or we can go 3 months, etc. And we get risk alerts, notifications. Okay, so you get the idea. So this has all been built out of individual fragments. Okay, we need to show you that we're doing this in a low code, no code fashion. So then what we do is we show you that that is exactly the case. Okay, so if I now come over here to the webinar site that you see here, okay, and I come in and then I look at, potentially, what should we look at? Let's look at site builder, do the design, we'll go to page templates, and we're in the page templates. So this is a common use case for Liferay, right? So master pages, just remind you what master pages are. So master pages are essentially templates for the header and the footer of the page, and you can have as many as you want. You can assign the master pages to individual pages or groups of pages or whatever you want to do. So I've got like an authenticated version and an unauthenticated version. So let's have a look at the authenticated version. So let's edit this one like so. Okay. And I can click on the header like this. Okay. And if I wanted to, I could kind of click down here and I could say, show the account selector like that. Okay. And if I do that, I could drop an account selector into there and I could then therefore support B2B commerce journeys as well. Okay. I could decide to show or hide, the search. Okay. And then in the search area here, I could come in here like this and I could go search bar like that. And I can drop a search bar in. Okay. So the fragments themselves, got my footer down there as well. The fragments themselves, they are all, built on Liferay low code, no code principles. Okay. And the AI is clever enough to know when it needs to use the drop zone, when it needs to use fragment configuration, okay, and when it needs to do everything it needs to do to integrate to Liferay known standards. So let's come out of there, like so. Let's go back into the page tree. Actually, what we'll do before we do so, there's a kind of another important point here as well. So if I do click on the header there, can you see that down here, I've got a navigation menu ID. So this is 77754, and that actually links to the navigation page as well. So if I now come into here, into Site Builder, go into navigation menus, can you see I've got a dashboard navigation here? I'll click on edit on that. Okay, and then that's a dashboard, right? So that's how it's doing the menu, right? So if I now go back to the dashboard page here, and then click that button, then I've actually got a scroll out navigation menu there on the left-hand side. Again, something that, Liferay is quite capable of doing, can be tricky in terms of how you manage the CSS for doing that and how it pops out, and all that can get quite complicated. And you want to take that complication away using the AI technology in order to do that. We'll come out of there. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is, let's just edit this page. Okay, and you can see I'm not being cheating, right? So these are all on the left-hand side. You can see that I've got a deal management one. I've got a deal constellation one. I've got a risk dashboard one. Literally everything in here is editable. Okay, as it should be when you're doing low code, and building fragments, etc. And then the final thing that I wanted to show you just in this demo as well is that we also have the ability to then go into style books over here. So we'll go over here, we'll go into style books. Okay, we'll create a new style book. And then we'll start playing with the colors, right? So if I kind of do this and go into, we're going to create, oh, crazy. Let's pick some crazy colors like that. Okay, and you see everything changing directly in it. Okay, I could go into, let's go back to color system a second. Let's kind of start doing some primary colors here, like so. And then let's go into like the buttons with that. And let's just kind of map all that so we'll see all that. Okay, and then that should be enough. We'll publish that. And then what we'll do is then we'll come, I don't know, to the home page. We'll edit the home page, like so. And then we'll say, home page, can you use that style book that I just created? Okay. So everything that we've done not only has the fragments and client extensions and everything else, okay, but it also has a design system which is integrated into the Liferay style books tokens system. Okay. So if I click on this little button here and I go into the JavaScript, you can see that I've got the Maestro front end JS here. Okay. That's the JS. And then the CSS is here, Maestro front end. Okay. And all the tokens are available there. Okay. How did we build all this out? Okay. So I am using here a tool called Replit. Okay. There are many different tools on the market, and, I might be using Replit, or I might be using Cursor, or I might be using, Google Gemini, right? And I could be using their tool. And the point is, it doesn't really matter what tool you're using. So Replit uses Claude Sonnet 4 underneath the hood. And basically what we're doing is we have all these MD files here, okay, which are the documentation that the AI uses in order to build things, okay? And basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of using these and creating these as I go along, working with the AI. So I'm talking to the AI, I'm going like, do this, do that, change this, use the best practices of Liferay. I tell it what the best practices are. And basically it creates all these MD files. Okay. And what that means, and you can do this, as I said before, with any AI technology of your choice. Okay. What it does is it brings these in, and it brings these in really easily and allows you to do things as fast as possible. It allows you to iterate on new projects and make it better over time. Okay, you can see over the left-hand side. So for this demo today, what was I doing? I was kind of asking it to create some logos and some stuff. Okay, I was kind of, so if I come all the way up here, that's a good example. So I was saying that, when you embed a search widget in Liferay, you get search suggestions. And I was saying basically, for that, I want you to increase the Z index of search suggestions so that they render on top of the widget that is rendered in the page. So you can see the idea. So thank you very much. Just to remind you, please contact us at www.liferay.com. Contact us, and thank you for your time today. It's been really good, and I've enjoyed myself. Thank you.